Hi everyone, and welcome to this short introduction to array lists in Java. We're going to be looking at a contact list scenario, for example a contact list in a smartphone. Alright, let's just start by constructing an array list of contact objects. By the way, I've already set up a contact class. I've got a few class variables here. I've got a constructor method and some other accessor and mutator methods as well. So let's start. I'm going to create an array list of contact objects, and I'm going to call this array list contacts, and this is a new array list of contact objects, and we'll finish that with some round brackets. Now notice I've got an error here. Array list cannot be resolved to a type. Now this is because all of this information is in the arraylist class, which is in a Java file. So I'm just going to say import java.util.star. That gives me all of the Java library files, and hopefully that error will disappear. Yes, it does. So what I've got here is I've set up a reference variable to an array list, and this array list will manage contact objects. So this is kind of what it's going to look like in memory. We have a reference variable called contacts which references an array list. Notice we do not have any contact objects yet. So let's do that right now. Let's say contacts. Now with normal arrays we would do this. I'll give him an ID, I'll give him a name, I'll give him a phone number, and is John Smith a friend or not? Yes, he is, so I'll make that true. This is a regular array. We've studied this before. Array lists are a bit different. We don't use this syntax. We use the add method of the arraylist class. And all we have to do is take this stuff here and stick it into here. So contacts dot add a new contact object. Okay? And what we have just done is that. I now have a new element in my array list which is referenced by 0, typical array terminology here, and this references my contact object. Okay, so this is basically contacts 0 references a contact object, and that's exactly what I've done there. So if I was to go and do this now, let's just add another one. I'll show you another way to add a new contact. We could do this. Contact C1 equals new contact, and again we'll just give him a different ID, different name, different phone number, and not a friend. Let's just give this guy a name. We'll call him Bill Smith, and his number is, I remember his number. There we go. So I've just created a new contact object, and I'm going to add that to my contacts array. So again, contacts dot add, and I'm just going to add C1, which is a contact object. So those are two ways. Oops, what's add all? So these are two ways to add objects to my array list. I can just create the object inside the add method, or I can have an object which I've already created and just pass the reference variable into the contacts array list. And now what we have is this situation. The new contact reference comes in next in line, if you like. It has a reference value of 1. So this is contacts 1 points to a contact object. Okay? So just to see how this is working, let's just create a for loop now. Int I equals 0 to I is less than contacts dot length. Oh, no, wait a minute. Array lists are different. Array lists don't use length, they use size. Don't worry, you'll get used to that. And I'm just going to do system.out.println contacts I dot get name. Because remember, contacts I is a contact object, and in the contact class I do have a get name method. There it is. So I'm using this method to find out what's being stored in the name variable within that object. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. This is an array list, not a regular array, so we can't do that. This is what we do. We use the get method, contacts dot get I dot get name. Okay, so it gets the index of the object within the array list, get 0 dot get name in the object. Okay, so this is how array lists work. And let's just add on to that a space, and I'm also going to display the value of I as we go through the loop. Okay, so let's run that and see what we get. So John Smith is in index 0 and Bill Smith is in index 1 in the array list. Okay, so let's just review this very quickly. I created a reference variable to an array list. I added a couple of contact objects to that array list, and now I'm going to loop through the array list to display the name that's stored in each of the contact objects. And to do that with array lists, I need to use the get method and just say that's the index within the array list. So let's just continue here. I'm just going to do a system.out.println to give me a new line. And now I'm going to add a new method, a new contact object. Contacts.add. Actually, I want to add a new object so that it sits in between John and Bill. Okay, so to explain what I mean, let me just show you what I mean here. I'm going to move Bill down, so Bill's going to sit in the second index position, and I'm going to create a new contact object, and this one is going to come in here into the first. So I'm going to mess around a little bit with the order of my array list, and let me show you how to do that with the add method. Notice we did use it here, contacts.add a new contact. But what we can do is say contacts.add in index 1 a new contact object. I'm just going to give it another ID, and this is Kelly Smith, and her phone number is, oops, I always remember phone numbers, and she's a friend, so that's true. Now let's just loop through our new set of data. Just going to do that loop again. So in the first for loop we have 2 contacts, and then I added another contact in index 1 position in the array list. And let's see what that does to the array list. So we have John and Bill, And then I added Kelly into index 1. Bill got pushed down into the second position. So the array list will automatically do that for me. If I add an object into the array list at a specific position, the object that's already there, which was Bill, is pushed down. Okay? And let's just do something else. Contacts dot set. In position 1, in index 1, I'm going to create a new contact. Object. Let's just give it a different ID again, just a kind of bit of randomness going on here. So this is going to be somebody with a rather random phone number, and this is going to be Jackie Smith. And again, let's put in a system.out.print, and let's just loop through the array list again. This time I'm using the set method. What does the set method do? Well, it's going to do something at index 1, and it's going to add, hopefully, a new contact object in index 1 of the array list. At the moment, see, Kelly is in index 1, but after we run this code, let's see what happens. So, at the beginning, we added 2 new contacts to our array list, and this was the situation. We then added another contact object into index 1. We added, and that pushed Bill down into position 2. This time we set in position 1 a new contact object of Jackie Smith, and that also pushed Bill down into position 2. Okay? And finally, what we're going to do is remove. I'm going to remove Bill. Okay? So contacts dot remove. Well, Bill's index is 2. So I'm just going to remove 2. And now let's loop through our array list again and just see what results we're getting. So first I had 2 objects, and then I added an object into index 1, and that pushed Bill down. I also did a similar thing with the set method, and then I removed Bill. So Bill is now no longer here. Okay? Now what I'm going to do, just before this video finishes, I'm going to remove, let's just come back to this position here, I'm going to remove Jackie. Let's see what happens when we remove index 1. So we were in this situation here. Jackie was in index 1. I just removed index 1. Look what happens. Bill takes Jackie's place. Bill moves back in the array list and has a new index. So that's going to take some time for you guys to think about, to play with, have a go at some of the task sets that I'm going to give you, and let's see if we can figure out how array lists work and become array list experts.